Qualify, Level 5 Diploma in Business Management. Unit Bus 2.4, Business Models and Growing Organizations. Unit Code, H/507/1615. Unit Introduction. The unit is designed to help learners understand what is expected from them in working for a growing organization. The 3 units explore the relationship between enterprising behavior and business success, the different ways in which firms can grow and the different types of business that they might be expected to work in. This unit is also to introduce the concept of working for and managing creatively within a smaller growth organization. This unit examines how the small business grows, reasons for success and how best to manage available growth options. This will give the learner a greater understanding of fast growth organizations in both private and social sectors of the economy. Learners will develop skills to support their ability to understand business strategy and development with an emphasis on business growth. Learning outcomes. LO 1. Examine growth options and the resource implications on organization structures and operations. LO 2. Develop an appreciation of different business models and how performance and success of ventures may be evaluated. LO 3. Evaluate environmental scanning and how growth options may be analyzed. Learning Outcome 1. Examine growth options and the resource implications on organization structures and operations. Key lesson objectives. Identify what is a strategy and strategic planning. Understand basic approaches to delivering business growth. Identify and describe business growth with examples. Understand about resource requirements for business growth. What is a strategy? Strategy, it is the direction and scope of an organization over the long term, which achieves advantage in a changing environment through its configuration of resources and competences with the aim of fulfilling stakeholder expectations. Strategy is a master game plan designed for achieving the objectives of an organization. It is a mix of competitive moves and actions made by the top-level management for the accomplishment of goals successfully. They are dynamic and flexible in nature. Strategies are based on practical experiences, not on theoretical knowledge, i.e. they are realistic and action-oriented activity. It requires deep analysis of the managers on any move or action, implementation timing, the sequence of actions, outcome, reactions of competitors, etc. It is a blueprint, layout, design, or idea used to accomplish a specific goal. A strategy is very flexible and open for adaptation and change when needed. Strategy tackles the question of why. It has a large scope and looks at the end result as well as the many paths to the desired outcome. A strategy looks at every possible influencing factor, both seen and unforeseen, and comes to terms with the whole situation, not just one end result. What is a plan? Plan. A plan is an arrangement, a pattern, a program, or a scheme for a definite purpose. A plan is very concrete in nature and doesn't allow for deviation. If plan A doesn't work, you don't alter plan A and try again. Rather, you move to plan B, something totally different. A plan is most useful when staying well organized and on track is the highest priority. A plan provides a coherent framework from which to build and a sure direction to follow, with intermittent milestones to pass in order to reach an end goal. A plan eliminates false confidence and increases stability. A plan increases the transparency of your work, leaves no room for assumptions, and can prove that you've put in a lot of thought and effort. Types of plans include financial, tactical, operational, succession, contingency. A plan is usually a list of steps taken to accomplish a goal. A plan tackles questions like how, when, where, who, and what. A plan is a good thing to have. In fact, it is vital to the success of almost any effort. However, developing a plan should not be the first step in addressing a task. Differences between strategy and a plan. Planning is anticipation and preparation in advance, for the uncertain future events. The strategy is the best plan chosen among the various alternatives for the accomplishment of objectives. Planning is like a map for guidance, while strategy is the path which takes you to your destination. Strategy leads to planning, and planning leads to programs. Planning is future-oriented, whereas strategy is action-oriented. Planning takes assumptions, but strategy is based on practical experiences. Planning can be for short-term or long-term depending upon the circumstances. Unlike strategy, which is for the long term, planning is a part of the managerial process. Conversely, strategy is a part of decision-making. A plan says, here are the steps, while a strategy says, here are the best steps. Strategy speaks to the reasons why, while the plan is focused on how. In a perfect world, the strategy always comes before a plan and shapes the details of the plan. A strategy is the overarching wisdom that coordinates all of the plans in order to effectively reach the goals. Strategic planning and approaches. Strategic planning is an organizational management activity that is used to set priorities, focus energy and resources, strengthen operations, ensure that employees and other stakeholders are working toward common goals, establish agreement around intended outcomes/results, and assess and adjust the organization's direction in response to a changing environment. Strategy Management Group, 2019. It is a disciplined effort that produces fundamental decisions and actions that shape and guide what an organization is, who it serves, what it does, and why it does it, with a focus on the future. Effective strategic planning articulates not only where an organization is going and the actions needed to make progress, but also how it will know if it is successful. The key motives for strategies are: environment-based, fit strategies to changing business environment. As an example, if the industry rivalry is very high, the strategies must be introduced to survive in the high competition. Capability-based, stretch and exploit organizational resources and competences. If the organization has bought a land as an investment or a security for the business, it could be used as a warehouse for a few years until the organization finds a lucrative opportunity to increase revenue with it, rather than just letting the land to sit. Expectations-based, meet expectations deriving from cultural and political context. If the culture of the market or the external political background is becoming favorable for a long-awaited business idea and now it is the right time, the appropriate strategies could be developed. The four approaches for strategic decision-making are: 1. Unilateral firms are both low process and low input. They tend to have a top-down leader who makes decisions alone. These type of leaders often has difficulty explaining their decision-making process and the role other employees played. Interestingly, the leaders have two different types of attitudes. Some disliked their process and admitted that they should do things differently, while others seemed very confident with how they made decisions. A potential benefit for unilateral firms is that leaders can make decisions quickly, without the constraints of process complexity and debate. However, the negative impact is that, lacking checks and balances, unilateral firms can make bad decisions fast. Moreover, speed is not a sure thing in a unilateral firm. If the top-down leader chooses to procrastinate on a tough decision, no process is there to force timely action. 2. Ad hoc firms are low process and high input. These firms do not have a codified, recurring process that they follow every time they make a strategic change. But when a change needs to be made, the leader pulls their team together to take action. The exact steps the firm follows and the exact people in the room change from one decision to the next. The benefit of an ad hoc system is that rigid rules don't constrain the firm. Leaders can tailor the process to each decision by adjusting the length of deliberations, the involved parties, and other factors. The main risk is that the firm may not learn over time how to get better at making strategic decisions. The top leader of an ad hoc firm might also use the process flexibility to exclude stakeholders who disagree with the leader's position. This will eliminate the debate that fuels ad hoc decision-making and, in essence, shift the firm down to the unilateral box. 3. Administrative firms are high process but low input. These firms follow rigorous processes and well-defined routines to make strategic decisions without actually eliciting debate from other employees. One benefit is the detailed data collection and documentation that accompanies this extensive process. If administrative firms are smart, they can leverage this information to improve future decision making. But, similar to unilateral firms, the low level of input can result in bad decisions if leaders do not consider key information or opinions. In fact, this risk can be especially grave in administrative firms because the detailed process and the sheer quantity of information gathered can act as theater, masking the lack of broad input from internal and external stakeholders. For collaborative firms are both high process and high input. These firms have the rigorous process of an administrative firm, but also the engaged employees of an ad hoc firm. These leaders show strong consistency across different types of decisions and could clearly articulate how employees added value during the process. The detailed process ensures that the leaders don't miss any steps. The frequent input ensures that they don't miss any information. However, the inflexible system can potentially slow down decision-making and prevent firms from acting on time-sensitive opportunities. For example, collaborative firms may inadvertently include irrelevant parties in strategy discussions or spend too much time achieving consensus among the participants in order to maintain engagement. The methods of strategic decision-making could have an impact over the strategic planning process within the organization. Depending on the nature of strategic decision-making within the organization, the strategic planning process will be influenced. Strategic options and implications. Bases of competitive strategy. Price-based strategies. Route 1 is the no-frills strategy, which combines a low price with low perceived product/service benefits and a focus on a price-sensitive market segment. Route 2, the low-price strategy, seeks to achieve a lower price than competitors whilst maintaining similar perceived product or service benefits to those offered by competitors. Increasingly, this has been the competitive strategy chosen by Asda, owned by Walmart, and Morrisons in the UK supermarket sector. In the long run, both a no-frills strategy and a low-price strategy cannot be pursued without a low-cost base. However, low cost in itself is not a basis for advantage. Managers often pursue low cost that does not give them competitive advantage. The challenge is how costs can be reduced in ways which others cannot match, such that a low-price strategy might give sustainable advantage. Differentiation strategies. The broad differentiation strategy provides products or services that offer benefits different from those of competitors and that are widely valued by buyers. The aim is to achieve competitive advantage by offering better products or services at the same price or enhancing margins by pricing slightly higher. In public services, the equivalent is the achievement of a center of excellence status, attracting higher funding from government. For example, universities try to show that they are better at research or teaching than other universities. Hyper-competitive strategies. Many organizations face turbulent, fast-changing, uncertain business environments and increasing levels of competition. This is called hyper-competition. Here, imitation, innovation, or changes of customer preferences mean advantage may be short-lived at best. Competitive advantage will therefore relate to organizations' ability to change fast, to be flexible and to innovate. Gaming strategies. Game theory is concerned with the interrelationships between the competitive moves of a set of competitors. It is helpful in understanding the competitive dynamics of markets and in considering appropriate strategies in this light. There are two key assumptions in relation to understanding competitive dynamics in terms of game theory are: rationality. Competitors will behave rationally in trying to win to their own benefit. Interdependence. Competitors are in an interdependent relationship with each other. So one competitor's move is likely to galvanize response from another, and the outcome of choices made by one competitor is dependent on the choices made by another. Moreover, to a greater or lesser extent, competitors are aware of such interdependencies and the moves that competitors could take. Strategic directions. The organization should have development directions which brings out the strategic options available to an organization, in terms of products and market coverage, taking into account the strategic capability of the organization and the expectations of stakeholders. The key strategic options, which are also known as ANSOF's growth strategies that are available for any organization, are: protect and build, product development, market development, diversification. ANSOF, H. 1988. Protect and build. Consolidation, protect and strengthen position in current markets with current products, downsizing or withdrawal from activities and maintenance of market share. Market penetration, organization gains market share through market penetration by leveraging competences and aggressive selling. The desirability of dominant market share is clearly visible under this strategic option. Example: gaining 2% of market share through marketing penetration done during the previous quarter. Product development. The product development is delivering modified or new products to existing markets with existing or new capabilities while following changing customer needs, short product life cycles and exploitation of core competence in market analysis. The associated dilemmas and risks are the expenses involved, potential unprofitability and unacceptable consequences of not developing new products within the organization. Example: organization developing a new product as a result of a market research they undertook last year. Market development. Market development is offering existing products in new market segments or geographically different markets. The organization could look for new market segments with similar critical success factors and introduce new uses for existing products. Example: organization opening a branch office or signing up with a partner in another country to sell products to the markets of that country. Diversification. This option takes the organization away from both its current markets and products and leads to a totally new area of business. The diversification could be broadly categorized into related diversification and unrelated diversification. Example: an organization which was producing fresh milk, also expanding its operation to produce yogurt under the same brand name. Methods for pursuing strategies. Internal development, build on and develop an organization's own capabilities. Organic development could be considered as a major contributor for internal development. When an organization has grown over the years, adding new divisions and new subsidiaries or business units or producing new products to the market than the products that they started with, then it could be called as an internal development, or the organization has grown organically. Example: an organization opening up 5 branch offices around the country. Mergers and acquisitions, take over ownership of another organization. This is a basic buyover of an organization or merging 2 organizations together to work as one, may be in the same industry or in a different industry, vertically or horizontally related in the value chain. Example: a burger-making organization buying the business of a raw material supplier such as the bakery which supplies the buns to the business. Strategic alliances, 2 or more organizations share resources and activities. Organization getting into a partnership as a franchise agreement or a profit-sharing agreement in working together and serving the customers. When the strategic alliances happen, the service and product improvements could take place for the customers when the strengths of both companies get together. Example: a vehicle insurance company getting into a partnership with a healthcare insurance company. Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington, 2011. Components of a strategic plan. Often, strategy development is equated with formalist strategic planning systems. These may take the form of systematized, step-by-step, chronological procedures involving different parts of the organization. A strategic plan is a document used to communicate with the organization's goals, the actions needed to achieve those goals, and all of the other critical elements developed during the planning exercise. Strategy Management Group, 2019. Strategic planning is an organizational management activity that is used to set priorities, focus energy and resources, strengthen operations, ensure that employees and other stakeholders are working toward common goals, establish agreement around intended outcomes/results, and assess and adjust the organization's direction in response to a changing environment. It is a disciplined effort that produces fundamental decisions and actions that shape and guide what an organization is, who it serves, what it does, and why it does it, with a focus on the future. Effective strategic planning articulates not only where an organization is going and the actions needed to make progress, but also how it will know if it is successful. Strategy Management Group, 2019. The key stages of strategic planning in a large organization are: initial guidelines. The cycle starting point is usually a set of guidelines or assumptions about the external environment, for example, price levels and supply and demand conditions, and the overall priorities, guidelines, and expectations of the corporate center. Business level planning. Business units or divisions then draw up strategic plans to present to the corporate center. Corporate center executives then discuss those plans with the business managers, usually in face-to-face meetings. On the basis of these discussions, the businesses revise their plans for further discussion. Corporate level planning. The corporate plan results from the aggregation of the business plans. This coordination may be undertaken by a corporate planning department that, in effect, has a coordination role. The corporate board then has to approve the corporate plan. Financial and strategic targets are then likely to be extracted to provide a basis for performance monitoring of businesses and key strategic priorities on the basis of the plan. Any organization must engage in strategic planning that clearly defines objectives and assesses both the internal and external environment to formulate strategy, implement the strategy, evaluate the progress, and make judgments as necessary to stay on track. A simplified version of the planning process has been depicted by the diagram. The key steps of strategic planning are: mission and objectives. The mission statement describes the company's business vision, including unchanging values and purpose of the firm and forward-looking visionary goals that guide the pursuit of future opportunities. Guided by the business vision, the company's leaders could define measurable financial and strategic objectives. Financial objectives involve measures such as sales targets and earnings growth. Strategic objectives are related to the company's business position, and may include measures such as market share and reputation. Examples: increase client satisfaction from 82% to 90% by December 31, 2020. Improve corporate reputation by 10% by the end of the financial year 2021. Increase organization's revenue by 5% by 31st of March 2019. Environmental scan. The environmental scan includes the following key components: internal analysis of the organization, analysis of the organization's industry, external environment. The internal analysis will bring out the organization's strengths and weaknesses, and the external analysis will reveal the opportunities and threats. A SWOT analysis will be helpful in order to explore a profile of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the organization. The industry analysis could be undertaken through the Porter's 5 Forces framework. This framework evaluates entry barriers, bargaining power of customers, suppliers, the threat of substitutes, and overall industry rivalry. Strategy formulation. Given the information from the environmental scan, the organization should match its strengths with the opportunities while addressing weaknesses and external threats. To attain superior profitability, the organization should seek to develop a competitive advantage over its rivals. A competitive advantage could be built on cost or differentiation. The Porter's 3 industry-independent generic strategies could be used for the organization to select from. Cost leadership. It involves being the leader in terms of cost in your industry or market. This will help the firm to increase profits by reducing costs, while charging industry average prices, and also to increase market share by charging lower prices, while still making a reasonable profit on each sale because you've reduced costs. Differentiation. Differentiation involves making your products or services different from and more attractive than those of your competitors. How you do this depends on the exact nature of your industry and of the products and services themselves, but will typically involve features, functionality, durability, support, and also brand image that your customers value. Focus. Companies that use focus strategies concentrate on particular niche markets and, by understanding the dynamics of that market and the unique needs of customers within it, develop uniquely low-cost or well-specified products for the market. Because they serve customers in their market uniquely well, they tend to build strong brand loyalty amongst their customers. This makes their particular market segment less attractive to competitors. As with broad market strategies, it is still essential to decide whether you will pursue cost leadership or differentiation. Once you have selected a focus strategy as your main approach, focus is not normally enough on its own. Strategy implementation. The selected strategy could be implemented by means of programmers, budgets, and procedures. Implementation involves organization of the company's resources and motivation of the staff to achieve objectives. The way in which the strategy is implemented can have a significant impact on whether it will be successful. In a large company, those who implement the strategy likely will be different people from those who formulated it. For this reason, care must be taken to communicate the strategy and the reasoning behind it. Otherwise, the implementation might not succeed if the strategy is misunderstood or if lower-level managers resist its implementation because they do not understand why the particular strategy was selected. For the effective implementation, it needs to be translated to more detailed policies that can be understood at the functional level of the organization. The expression of the strategy in terms of the functional policies also serves to highlight any practical issues that might not have been visible at the higher level. The strategy should be translated into specific policies for functional areas such as marketing, research and development, procurement, production, human resources, information systems. In addition to developing functional policies, the implementation phase involves identifying the required resources and putting into place the necessary organizational changes. Further, the strategies selected should be evaluated in terms of suitability, acceptability, and feasibility before the adoption in the context of the plan and organization. Evaluation and control. The implementation of the strategies must be monitored and adjustments made as needed. Evaluation and control consists of the following steps. Define parameters to be measured. Definite target values for those parameters. Perform measurements. Compare measured results to the predefined standard. Make necessary changes. The strategic planning process is dynamic and continuous. A change in one component can necessitate a change in the entire strategy. As such, the process must be repeated frequently in order to adapt the strategy to environmental changes. Throughout the process, the organization may need to cycle back to a previous stage and make adjustments. It is important to note that major strategic decisions may not, themselves, be made within or as a direct result of such planning processes. For example, the decisions about competitive strategy in a business-level strategic plan will quite likely be taken in management meetings in that business. However, such decisions may then be built into the formal plan. Nonetheless, a strategic planning system may have many uses. First, it may indeed play a role in how the future organizational strategy is determined. For example, it might help structure analysis and thinking about complex strategic problems. Encourage questioning and challenge of received wisdom taken for granted in an organization. Encourage a longer-term view of strategy than might otherwise occur. Planning horizons vary, of course. In a fast-moving consumer goods company, 3-5-year plans may be appropriate. In companies which have to take very long-term views on capital investment, such as those in the oil industry, planning horizons can be as long as 15 years. In Exxon, or 20 years, in Shell. Enhance coordination of business-level strategies within an overall corporate strategy. A planning system may also facilitate converting an intended strategy into organizational action by communicating intended strategy from the center to operating units. Providing agreed objectives or strategic milestones against which performance and progress can be reviewed. Coordinating resources required to put strategy into effect. A planning system may also have a psychological role by involving people in strategy development, therefore perhaps helping to create ownership of the strategy. Providing a sense of security and logic for the organization, not least senior management who believe they should be proactively determining the future strategy and exercising control over the destiny of the organization. The understanding that is gained through the key components of the strategic plan will be supportive in pursuing the chosen strategic directions of the organization, such as product development, market penetration, and diversification. Approaches to delivering business growth. Most small companies have plans to grow their business and increase sales and profits. However, there are certain methods companies must use for implementing a growth strategy. The method a company uses to expand its business is largely contingent upon its financial situation, the competition, and even government regulation. Some common growth strategies in business include market penetration, market expansion, product expansion, diversification, and acquisition. Market penetration strategy. One growth strategy in business is market penetration. A small company uses a market penetration strategy when it decides to market existing products within the same market it has been using. The only way to grow using existing products and markets is to increase market share, according to small business experts. Market share is the percent of unit and dollar sales a company holds within a certain market versus all other competitors. One way to increase market share is by lowering prices. For example, in markets where there is little differentiation among products, a lower price may help a company increase its share of the market. Market expansion or development. A market expansion growth strategy, often called market development, entails selling current products in a new market. There are several reasons why a company may consider a market expansion strategy. First, the competition may be such that there is no room for growth within the current market. If a business does not find new markets for its products, it cannot increase sales or profits. A small company may also use a market expansion strategy if it finds new uses for its product. For example, a small soap distributor that sells to retail stores may discover that factory workers also use its product. Product expansion strategy. A small company may also expand its product line or add new features to increase its sales and profits. When small companies employ a product expansion strategy, also known as product development, they continue selling within the existing market. A product expansion growth strategy often works well when technology starts to change. A small company may also be forced to add new products as older ones become outmoded. Growth through diversification. Growth strategies in business also include diversification, where a small company will sell new products to new markets. This type of strategy can be very risky. A small company will need to plan carefully when using a diversification growth strategy. Marketing research is essential because a company will need to determine if consumers in the new market will potentially like the new products. Acquisition of other companies. Growth strategies in business can also include an acquisition. In acquisition, a company purchases another company to expand its operations. A small company may use this type of strategy to expand its product line and enter new markets. An acquisition growth strategy can be risky, but not as risky as a diversification strategy. One reason is that the products and market are already established. A company must know exactly what it wants to achieve when using an acquisition strategy, mainly because of the significant investment required to implement it. Key partnerships or alliances. A partnership is a business structure for a multi-owner business that has not filed to incorporate. It is the simplest and least expensive structure for a co-owned business. In a general partnership, each partner is an owner, has a hand in running the business and can make decisions binding the other partners to a business deal. An alliance is an agreement between two independent companies to share assets, skills, and resources to achieve a common goal. Unlike partnerships, the members of an alliance remain sovereign business entities and they must mutually agree on all binding business decisions. Business growth. Examples. Facebook is ubiquitous today, but when it launched in 2004, it was one of several social media networks. The company used a market penetration growth strategy. It started by focusing on a narrow target customer base, then expanded gradually. Amazon's retail dominance began in 1995. Back then, consumers were not used to buying online. Despite that, Amazon grew to billions of dollars in annual sales. Diversification growth strategy enables Amazon's growth. Amazon was among the earliest online retailers, offering the ability to buy online, a new concept at the time, in a new market, the Internet. Google is renowned for its namesake search engine, but what fueled its growth into the company now called Alphabet is its outsized revenue. It used a product development growth strategy. Google started as a business-to-consumer, B2C, company offering a search engine. But it needed a source of revenue. To achieve that revenue, it developed a new product, AdWords, targeted to businesses that had to pay to advertise. WhatsApp wasn't the first cross-platform messaging app when it launched in 2009, but it has gone on to become one of the most successful. Founders created a product that was brilliantly simple for sending and receiving instant messages. WhatsApp stood out by being dramatically different from every other option at the time. They used product development strategy. Resource requirements for business growth. Financial resources. Probably the most important resource you need is money. Another term for money is capital. When you start out, you need to buy things, even simple things that help you get your business off the ground. Branding, design, logo, graphics, business cards. Office, rent, furniture, office equipment, storage. Website hosting, collaboration software, email hosting and other essential software and tools. Employees, money for salaries, tax, healthcare. Expenses, travel, meetings, food, hotels. Raw materials/goods, these are the basic materials you need to buy to make your final value offering. Raw materials/goods, these are the basic materials you need to buy to make your final value offering. Resource requirements for business growth. Physical resources. Physical assets are tangible resources that a business uses to create its value proposition. These could include equipment, inventory, buildings, manufacturing plants, distribution networks. Human resources. Employees are the most valuable key resources of most companies. Not only do employees help run the business, but they also interact with customers, help develop the business through innovating and hold the skills and knowledge that differentiates the business from another. For businesses that provide services, people are the most important resource. Examples of the importance of people as a resource can be seen across different industries such as hospitality industries, services, media, healthcare, banking, etc., research, engineering, design, medical. Intellectual resources. These are intangible resources like intellectual property, IP, brand, patents, copyrights and partnerships. Product-driven businesses, these are companies that create and sell products. A product needs to be unique and meet the needs of a defined customer segment who are willing to buy it. Key resources for product-driven businesses are both intellectual and human. Typically these companies have expertise in their particular niche. Scope-driven businesses, these are focused on providing a value proposition to a particular customer segment. Another marketing term for these types of business is niche businesses. Generally, a scope-driven business will have specialized in serving a particular customer segment and have consequently developed and honed their resources to create value. As an example, although an IT company that specializes in human resources software and has over a year developed the knowledge, people, and software to create value for their customers. Infrastructure-driven businesses, these, as the name suggests, achieve their value proposition through leveraging their developed and implemented infrastructure. The telecommunications industry invests heavily in developing the telecommunications infrastructure in a country and then reaps the rewards for years with only minor investments to keep their systems updated. Google developed a global IT infrastructure to enable fast and effective searches. Google then realized it could use this infrastructure and knowledge to offer web hosting and specialized services. Lesson summary. In this lesson you have been able to get an understanding on growth options and the resource implications on organization structures and operations. We have focused on the areas of strategy and the plan firstly. Hope you are now clear with difference between strategy and the plan. Different approaches to delivering business growth have been discussed later. We have identified some real business evidences for them too. At the end of the lesson, you have identified resource requirements for business growth. Learning Outcome 1, Practice Question. In order to recap this lesson, attempt the following tasks. Select an organization which you are familiar with, in order to attempt the following task. Please make sure that information about the organization is accessible and easily available. 1. Considering the chosen organization, describe and provide examples of different approaches to delivering business growth.